Hello everyone and welcome, I'm Beastly Eel. And in today's video we're going to be doing my prediction on the next death battle. So the next death battle is going to be RWBY from RWBY versus Maka from Soul Eater. So both of these women are highly skilled in using a scythe. Now I did as much research as I could on the two of them. So I'm going to briefly talk about RWBY from RWBY first and then move on to talking about Maka and go from there. So one of the big things here is she's one of the strongest characters in the sense of being able to use her physical strength for her weapon, and her scythe is what really gets her the power, basically. Mm, Apparently, without it, she's kind of useless. However, she's so skilled with it that she has been able to figure out how to spin it and use the momentum of the weapon to her advantage to take out her opponents with ease. So, how, for example, like she is able to spin it, bounce it, use the recoil to gain momentum to swing around again to attack from the other side, and with that, that makes her a very um, difficult opponent to defeat. Now, with that being said, she also has the ability of pedal burst, which apparently is like this ability that's kind of like it's almost like teleportation, but not actually. It's a burst of speed in one direction, where she's able to determine where that direction is and is able to get there without a problem. One of the other things that I want to mention about this is in the combinedness of the two of them, meaning, I'm sorry, between Ruby and the DC Comics, she has the ability of teleportation. Um, I would guess that they would be equivalent. However, it's described in the manga and in the show, I believe, as a burst of energy. So it's one direction getting there at a quick speed. And the reason why it's called pedal burst is because normally when she does so, there's some red petals, sorry, kind of left in the wind as she does so. She also has what's called silver eyes. She's a silver eye warrior. Um, and I just find that to be very interesting. However, her weaknesses are hand-to-hand combat. Without her scythe, she is taken out with ease, which is kind of a problem in this. However, with her scythe and everything else, she's able to do some incredible feats. Drag something up a cliff with great speed, which I find to be very interesting. But it'd be very interesting to kind of see her fighting in this kind of format. But let's talk about Maka from Soul Eater. So she's very similar in the sense of she's deemed to be one of the strongest um, fighters in her universe. However, she's only as good as her weapon, which is weird enough as it is, but she uses a scythe as well. Incredibly skilled with it, one of the best, able to maneuver herself in such a way it's incredible. Um, Although it appears to be that she is physically more adept to fighting without her scythe, she is significantly weakened without it. I want to make that clear because I think that might be a factor for later on. Some of the other things that she is capable of doing is she obviously has great scythe handling skills, which we've already talked about. She has what's called an anti-demon wavelength, which apparently um, makes it difficult for them to kind of slaughter, I guess is the way it's kind of described, because it's supposed to be acts as the bane against dark forces such as magic, demons, and even likely immortals. It allows her to enhance forms of the witch hunt, which makes her immune to certain types of magics as well. She possesses a rare soul type that allows her to fly, which I think will be very interesting to see. Um, she has physical abilities that are very good. She can sense danger around her, which I thought was very interesting. However, like we talked about here with the last combatant, her hand-to-hand combat is not that great. Um, Without her scythe, she is very much weaker, and because of that, is concerned that she might not win. So this one's a tough one because the other thing with Ruby is apparently she has incredible balance control, and she has the ability to maneuver herself in such a way to make sure that she's always, almost always in perfect balance. I think it has to do with the fact of being able to use the scythe so well. and Maka seems to be able to do so, but it doesn't paint the picture that it is as easy for her as it is for Ruby. So I feel like in this, strength wise, I feel like Maka is stronger. I think weapon wise, though, and this is gonna probably piss a lot of people off based on what I'm reading, Ruby is stronger. However, if you take the weapon away, right, I think Maka kicks Ruby's butt hands down. So I think to me, the winner of this death battle, and I'm not confident in it whatsoever, is going to be Maka from Soul Eater, just because I feel like she has better versatility, in the sense of like her hand-to-hand combat is slightly better than Ruby, or at least appears to be. Maybe it's not, and I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But I'll be very curious to see that because even with the burst of speed or even teleportation, Maka has the sense of danger, so she'd be able to know when an attack is coming. So I feel like that's going to negate itself right there. Plus, she has the ability of flight, which also is going to help her out significantly, which also makes it so she can wield her weapon in ways that Ruby cannot. And I feel like that's also going to be another factor as well. Because with her flight ability, she's not going to need the momentum as much as Ruby's going to need it. So being smacked to the ground is going to be much different to Maka than it is going to be with Ruby. Like I said, I think it's going to be Maka as the winner of this death battle based on those reasons. However, I am not extremely confident about that. But let me know who you think is going to win this death battle down in the comments below and why. And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beast Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.